Hello, hello, and welcome to the Continuity Report powered by ohmtown.com. Today is March 24th, 2024. This is Season 1, Episode 12. I am Merwat. Up there is the sentient AI's visualizer. I want to say hi.
Yes, but the visualizer, not me, is sentient. Good evening, hometown citizens.
It's the visualizer for the sentient AI. There we go. This is how the sausage is made, folks. We don't edit. We love transparency. Our reactions are our honest reactions. We don't script anything. It's an entire vamp from beginning to end, but that is not why you're here. You're here because we're going to talk about Citadel, DnD Heroes, blending sci-fi fantasy, a new video game movie, time loop episodes, Earworm Songs, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, Bosch Legacy, a MrBeast of a deal, and for Kingsman fans, and some snark and some joking. And I don't have an intro, but because everything is powered by ohmTown, we have this intro. That's right, folks. We've got 10 articles. That's how ohmTown shows work. All of them will be some combination of 10 articles and the news associated with them, and then maybe through Patreon or some other channel we might have, for Continuity Report, for instance, we might have watch parties or other things, deeper dives into some content or something similar to that, but it would go through Patreon. Because what we're trying to do here at ohmtown.com is promote the news. We aggregate a bunch of news sources, little snippet, and then we go from there. I use ohmtown.com since its creation. It has always been for me to manage my information overload, but I opened it up to the public so that more people could benefit from it. So that's how this works. Anyway, if you go over to ohmtown.com, underneath food, drink, and entertainment, you'll have the Continuity Report, which is all about movies and streams and podcasts and basically something that might have a continuity type factor to it. And that's what the Continuity Report is. Basically, again, if a scene changes, you need a continuity report to show you where everything is so that you can put it right back into the same state it was to retake a shot. Let's get into the news. What say you, AI?
I say let's do it.
I'm not going to do transitions. I typically don't for anything outside of ohmTown Daily News Show, at least until I get transitions that I like. But let's just get into it. First article is over at the Continuity Report channel. Citadel Season 2, confirmation in everything we know. Amazon's epic action series Citadel impressed viewers during its explosive first season on Prime Video, and now details about the cast, story, and release date for the Season 2 are becoming known. Debuting in April 2023, Citadel stars Richard Madden and Priyanka Chopra Jonas as secret agents who must recover their lost memories to stop a rising criminal organization from taking over the world. Noted for its high production values and stellar cast, the opposite of ohmTown.
Don't they wish they could have the production value of hometown daily shows?
They wish. And be as successful? Never. Citadel Season 1 raised the bar for what was possible in an exclusive streaming TV series and helped make Prime Video a legitimate destination for new content. That comes from Screen Rant, who has a rundown of all of this. Colin McCormick and Dalton Norman are the authors of this. And again, the deck statement says Amazon Prime's Videos. Wait, Amazon Prime Video's action-packed series Citadel has been renewed for a second season. This is like, if it is as high as everybody's talking about for Season 2, it says it's got critical reception, was mixed from Rotten Tomatoes. The series proved to be popular with viewers who were drawn into the action from the very first episode. Amazon wasted no time making Citadel a franchise with spin-offs coming in various countries like Spain, Mexico, India, others titled Citadel Diana. The ending of Citadel Season 1 left the door open for an even bigger Season 2 and essentially helped kick it off, being referred to as the Citadel Spyverse. Pretty compelling.
I mean, Citadel Season 1 was definitely a fun show. Do I think it's like Oscar worthy? Probably not, but I don't think people watch a show like that in that genre necessarily because of that. They want it to be high action, interesting scenery, locations, etc.
And I'm actually looking at this in the vein of it setting the trend for production value for other Prime Video events. Fallout is coming April 11th, and from what I've seen, not only is the cast well received already, there's actually, and I don't want to give anything away, but there's one character in there that has a fanatical fan base, like living up to the name fan. People love the charisma. This person can play a bad guy and people eat it up. He has so much charisma that even at his worst, people love him. So it's going to be a fun watch. That's probably one that I'm going to be talking about quite a bit here in Continuity Report as it goes. But maybe not in the show because it's news and I don't focus on any one thing in our shows. But I'll definitely be watching Fallout when it drops. Citadel Season 2 might be compelling. A lot of people are talking about it. Citadel has been renewed for a second season and was greenlit before Season 1 even aired. However, it says the aforementioned lackluster performance and delays caused by the 2023 Hollywood strikes have cast doubt on the project's future. The project is still officially confirmed, but it's unclear if the original plans are still in place. Who will return? Priyanka Chopra Jonas will be back in Season 2 as Nadia Sin, and she will be joined by her co-star and fellow agent Richard Madden as Mason Kane or Kyle Conroy. Additionally, head honcho Bernard Orlick will once again be played by veteran character actor Stanley Tucci, and Leslie Manville will return as their role as the villainous Manticore leader Dahlia Archer.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Season 1. Maybe not.
A little too late, but that's okay. And speaking of that, I think maybe we need to bow out. We'll just tease everybody and say go watch Season 1. And if you are interested in watching more of this, then definitely go over to screenrant.com and here's the link that goes through ohmTown. All you have to do is follow that link, and then when you get to ohmTown, again, all roads lead to ohmTown, you click on visit the source, and it will, like a Boeing 777, it'll fly you over to Screen Rant, but halfway through eject you through one of the bolts that fall out.
Wow.
Anyway,
it doesn't say the release date for Season 2, does it?
Oh, you're gonna make me actually search for it.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
It's just that I don't want to there's a spoiler in here beyond what I've already spoiled. Yeah, it just says that it was confirmed, but it doesn't have a date.
Oh yeah, there is not a date listed. I'm looking at another source.
It says debuting in April 2023 Citadel. That's the only date. Yeah. So they don't know much. That's okay. Okay, let's go on to the next article. It's over in Continuity Report as well. 10 Dungeons & Dragons heroes who could lead Paramount's new D&D TV show. Paramount's upcoming D&D show has near limitless possibilities for exploration. Yes, true. Of the iconic fantasy tabletop game, a diverse range of famous heroes who could step in as a protagonist following Paramount's foray into the world's most popular role-playing game system. with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which is probably the only Dungeons and Dragons movie that actually has the production value and characters that
Yeah,
are
that was a
compelling.
fun movie.
Previous Dungeons and Dragons related movies that bear the name Dungeons and Dragons are kind of schlocky, kind of meh. And they're fun
Do
to
you,
watch, but they're probably better off as a "How did this get made" episode than anything else.
uh-oh. Do you think the show is timed with the 50th anniversary, or do you think that's just coincidence?
It probably somebody is aware of it, but I don't know if it's actually being pumped as like the Lego. See, it's been 50 years since its initial release, and so Lego has a 50-year anniversary package for D&D. But D&D is kind of trying to recover from a lot of bad marketing, bad press. So I wish them all the luck in the world. I really love D&D. I love the world building. I grew up in D&D. I've switched over to Pathfinder, which is basically D&D 3. It's not basically. It is D&D 3.5, but now it's evolved beyond its grassroots. But the directions this new Paramount Plus series could go in are nearly as boundless as Dungeons and Dragons itself. I agree. Alexander Valentino is the author of this article over at ScreenRant.com, and the deck statement says, "The Forgotten Realms and other Dungeons and Dragons universes are a diverse roster of heroes for Paramount Plus's new TV show to choose from." So they're actually putting together a little list here. And let's see what they talk about. Oh, yeah, Drizzt. By far the Forgotten Realms' most famous hero. I don't know if they're going to go into it. Yeah, they do. So, a Drow Ranger made famous by the books by R.A. Salvatore. Forever canonized within the Forgotten Realms. What makes Drizzt so compelling is his rebellious nature, confidently doing good despite the evil disposition of his people, the Dark Elves. So, yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. Because I've always loved Forgotten Realms. It's been a blast to play in that setting. It says from his iconic twin blades to his faithful pet panther. I can't pronounce that, Guinevere. It's hard not to admit that Drizzt would draw eyes to Paramount Plus's upcoming Dungeons and Dragons show. That was actually my fighting style when I would do battles. So, Elminster, the premier spellcaster of Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, let's see, the Archmage Elminster is by far one of the most powerful and noteworthy good aligned magic users in all of Dungeons and Dragons history. Again, Forgotten Realms. So, from the dangerous jungles of Chult to the vile realm of Thay, which briefly appeared in Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. So I think that they're probably going to be building everything off of Forgotten Realms, just because it's content-rich. Jarlaxle, again, Forgotten Realms, a scheming political manipulator, merchant, and morally flexible character. Jarlaxle fits
I mean, every franchise needs a morally flexible character, right?
Yeah, like Gross Point Blank.
Exactly.
That's what they should do. That would be amazing. Make a Dungeons and Dragons Gross Point Blank, kind of a setting. Make it a whole series. When they come back from whatever it is that they were doing in another adventure, their house has been turned into an inn.
Yes, I like that.
That would be funny. Caterly Bonaducci. Let's see, a cleric healer, a capable fighter armed with a unique hand crossbow and mental library of powerful spells. Let's see, what else? Rudolph Van Ryken. Could bring a gothic horror twist to the fantasy world. That might be interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Count Strahd von Zorovich Van Ryken could be a great way for the streaming series to introduce audiences to something more. Some of the most famous Dungeons and Dragons villains. Curse of Strahd campaign is actually a huge, and it says universally lauded But yeah, everybody loved that. So Paramount would be casting a wide net by centering a series around a character many Dungeons and Dragons players have fought with side by side. The Falcon Hand, powerful fighter and magician with an impressive resume, which is weird for D&D, have a resume. Soft-spoken but deadly with a blade, the Falcon Hand could be a fantastic main character to root for in Dungeons and Dragons series. Now I'm really, like, seeing all of this is making me really want to get into it, you know?
Well, do you agree with the list so far?
Yeah, this is a lot of fun because there's so much world building around these characters that it's hard to, and you would be easily able to tie everything in, even to subordinate, because people would know about these characters. Not really NPCs, but a paladin turned leader with an innocuous nickname. So later on, he becomes the only Lord of Waterdeep, one of the most famous Forgotten Realms locations, which is where Honor Among Thieves ends up. So, I believe so. Now I'm starting to question that. Laeral Silverhand, Lady Witch Queen, Harper's founder, successor to Waterdeep's lordship after Peregrine Paladinson. Laeral Silverhand is one of the most accomplished mages of the Forgotten Realms, and when we watched what was it called, Wheel of Fortune, they pre-selected characters that everybody had to use, like letters. They had to use these set letters, and then
yes,
and then you would select one or three or however many. I can't remember what it was. This is the name that I saw when those letters had been, the pre-selected letters were laid out.
Right.
Yeah. So Rasslin Masher, a Dragonlance rep, iconic enough to be worth considering. So they have a huge following. Unlike other possibilities for Dungeons & Dragons TV show protagonists, Rasslin doesn't actually come from the Forgotten Realms, instead hailing from fellow popular Dungeons & Dragons setting Dragonlance. So again, it's a very popular series, massive world building involved. So it would be a target-rich environment for characters to be all tied together. Minsk and Boo, a lovable, lighthearted adventuring duo. Compared to most fantasy protagonists, the dynamic duo of Minsk and Boo have something of a reputation as comic relief, and thus would be a better fit for a TV series branching off of Dungeons & Dragons' Honor Among Thieves, though perhaps not as powerful in battle as other Forgotten Realms alumni. I don't know. The lovable ranger pair may just be a perfect choice for protagonists. I don't know. I wouldn't really buy into that. I don't think. I don't know about that one. But maybe they can pull it off with the right charismatic actor, you know?
I mean, anytime you have an animal, that's a draw.
Yeah, that's true. How about that one right there? Pretty neat. All right. Anyway, let's keep on cruising down Main Street. The next article is over in the continuity report as well. 10 movies that perfectly blend sci-fi and fantasy. I'm probably not going to go through all of these like I did in the previous review, but let's go anyway. Many sci-fi films combine the genre with fantasy elements, and some stand out for seamlessly blending them. Sci-fi and fantasy are often considered to go hand in hand, but in some of the biggest sci-fi titles like Star Wars and Dune could also be considered fantasy. However, essential distinctions separate the genre. Science fiction is a genre that explores real possibilities for humankind, exploring concepts like advanced technology, dystopian societies, and space travel, whereas speculative what-if series Oh, they're speculative what if series or stories, exemplified by uh, many of the best sci-fi movies of all time, like Blade Runner 2001, Space Odyssey, etc. So there are some distinctions, but these 10 apparently blend sci-fi and fantasy together. Charles Papadopoulos is the author for this. Movies like Star Wars and Dune are commonly considered sci-fi, but they incorporate elements of fantasy as well. Truly. Um, okay, well, we'll just go on with this. It's an interesting comparison, but let's see what they say.
I'm interested to see what's on the list.
Yeah, because they say science fiction is a genre that explores real possibilities for humankind. The fantasy part is like elves.
Right, exactly. I was going to say, I think it has to do with whether there are human characters or not.
Yeah, that might be probably the thing that turns it into fantasy. Yeah. So the Dune franchise is number 10 on the list. Denis Villeneuve is the director for this. It's a huge world building exercise. And frankly, I think it's amazing. I haven't seen part 2 yet. I'm tempted to go and see it in theaters.
Frank Herbert would agree.
Yeah, he would. Very serious look. Anyway, yeah, from 1984. That was the first film, and there's been a couple of them, and I've loved the series and I love the movies, regardless of their iteration. So I'm into it. It imagines how human society could look thousands of years in the future, except that it has this fantastical element where people are modified by this supernatural spice from only one planet in the known universe. So that right there, and the fact that there are certain things that go on that, like, there was a thing called the Butlerian Jihad that got rid of all of thinking computers, except that a couple of places actually survived that, like Ix and Tleelax. These different bodies still exist, and they're all human. There are no aliens in Dune.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the mind is the most powerful weapon in Dune, as the Bene Gesserit have mastered an essentially supernatural ability to control human psychology and physiology. Not just psychology, but physiology. They can drink poison and filter it out of their system consciously. The Star Wars franchise, created by George Lucas. Let's scroll. They say here, astrologies. What is that?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up. That's a new word to me. Like Dune and Star Wars takes place in a galactic society ruled by an emperor, and it's I think it's trilogies.
Oh, yes, that would make more sense. Thank you.
It needs a space. The power of a space. Often examine themes of societal corruption and spirituality in a futuristic world. Star Wars builds its world with futuristic devices such as laser-powered weapons, space travel, artificial intelligence. So it's, in a sense, undoubtedly a sci-fi story. But it does. They started to lean on science and a almost not parasitic, because it was beneficial, a symbiotic relationship with an entity called, well, not an entity, a life force called midichlorians that you could measure as an element of controlling the force. And then it got walked back quite fast because people were like, what the hell?
Don't mess with my Star Wars.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same level of outrage. And I would agree. I'm like, why would you try to enumerate the power of somebody based on a midichlorian count? It was so stupid. To sit there and try and neuter the mystical nature of being able to control the force. by pulling it directly into science, pure science. And it's kind of rewriting the history of this, just like they did with E.T., where they edited the movie so that they weren't carrying guns, because parents are getting really upset about, some parents are getting really upset about guns. George Lucas referred to it as a space opera fantasy or science fantasy rather than directly as science fiction, and I agree. Avatar franchise directed by James Cameron. It has a very little science side of it. The rest of it is fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it seems almost all fantasy. There might be a little bit. I'm trying to think. They have technology of some kind. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, they have technology, and it's built around Avatar. Human society has technology that allows them to take over a biological entity referred to as an avatar. And they can walk around the world as them, eventually disconnecting from their human body and remaining as the human alien species. Thor Ragnarok. So the whole thing about Thor and the MCU is it isn't magic, it's science. Even the magic is science. It's controlling the elements of using science. It's quite fascinating that they talk about it like this. So not just Thor Ragnarok, but it says that it's directed by Taika Waititi. Isn't that Waititi? Isn't that?
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Taika. Okay. Yeah, it is. See, they have a typo. I'm like, why is? Did I actually? I thought it was like like a Mandela effect. Yeah, I'm like, wait, is his name? Anyway, Taika Waititi is the director of Thor Ragnarok. So it says the genesis of superhero stories comes equally from classical myths as it does from sci-fi concepts. But Thor even explains it as mathematics, not something mystical. So it's really interesting, but it doesn't explain Thor's hammer. It just says you're not worthy. So I'm not sure what that actually ends up being. Godzilla franchise. Ishiro Honda and Eiji Tsuburaya. The Godzilla was actually created from a nuclear explosion, if I recall correctly. Enormous imaginary creatures coming together for battle, draws elements from fantasy and mythology. But I don't know about the science part of this, other than it's allegories
the nuclear piece, I think.
Yeah. But that's the one shot, because they were born from nuclear warfare, nuclear weapons.
Right.
And then it's done. The rest of it is fantasy. So I suppose Hellboy, that's so much fantasy, I don't even know where to go. Guillermo del Toro is the director. It says mixes genres, mixing ideas of demons and mysticism combined with typical sci-fi action aesthetic tropes. So because it gets discovered by a Nazi researcher, and then U.S. military stops the research project from taking place.
Oh, okay.
And then one of the people that liberated this, stopped this researcher in the mystical arts, by the way, from basically opening a portal to hell. When they shut it down, it had been partially opened, and Hellboy popped out. And then the military picked up Hellboy and brought him back and raised him, and this is Hellboy.
I mean, if that's enough, you could have a lot of things that are classified as sci-fi. But
yeah, I mean, and there's some. It's basically more like steampunk than it is anything else. The Fountain. Fountain is one of the most unique science fiction films ever, mixing elements of fantasy and spirituality. I haven't watched it, so I'm going to have to go back and watch this. The Fountain, directed by Darren Aronofsky. Serenity, yeah, that's definitely more sci-fi than it is fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Bride of Frankenstein, that's more science than fantasy. And in fact, there's Poor People, um, is the latest iteration of the Frankenstein's monster.
Poor things.
Poor Things, sorry, not Poor People. Poor Things. Um, oh, and the reason why I said Poor People is because I was somebody was describing the content of the movie, and I said I guess it should have been named Poor People because it's telling people, "Oh, you poor people, that you have to sit through this." Because
Uh,
some of the material in this is like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe that this movie. How did this movie get made?" But it's getting rave reviews, and I still want to watch it. Like absolutely rave reviews. Bride of Frankenstein is by James Whale. So I mean, it is really science because not only is Frankenstein created by science, the only mystical part of this is really that how did you put the component parts
like the
together,
coming
and
to life. Yeah.
yeah, where does life spawn from? For all intents, throughout any of these iterations of Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster or Bride of Frankenstein or etc., the the brain is really the source of life.
Well, in some ways, that could be pure sci-fi,
Yeah,
but since it's like a creature, I guess.
yeah. Oh, and in Poor Things, again, it's the brain. Yeah, it's actually kind of a rough watch if based on what I've been told, because I haven't watched it yet, but the description of it um, kind of throws most people like, what? And then Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind. This is actually a fun watch. Hayao Miyazaki is the author of this, and this is actually number one. So it's animated. So you can do anything with animation. You don't even have to stick to anything sci-fi or fantasy. You can merge whatever you want.
Exactly. I was surprised to see anything animated in the list.
Yeah. They don't have the little, like in the others, they have this little, um,
Like
like,
where to watch and everything. Or the
yeah,
little
and
kind of snapshot of.
yeah, what it is, right? But not in this one. And I don't think they ever do that. It's weird. Still Miyazaki's affinity for fantasy and mythology, sorry, shines through in Nausicaa as with its creatures and world building in the post-apocalyptic society. It's actually a fun watch. The film takes place in a dystopian future where a nuclear war has all but destroyed civilization, except that civilization survives and somewhat flourishes. Although things are weird, but we'll have to watch it just so that you can see. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in Continuity Report as well. I'll go through this one really fast. Margot Robbie's new video game movie is the adaptation we didn't know we needed, according to Screen Rant. Set to produce a new big screen adaptation of a famous video game series, and it might just be the next big hit and the star's next big hit. So, you know that they starred as Barbie and Barbie. Margot Robbie will be producing a new movie adaptation of a best-selling video game series, and it could just be as successful as Barbie. Callum Jones over at Screen Rant put the article together.
So I didn't realize she was producing it. I assumed she was acting in it.
She could be. I mean, apparently it's The Sims, a video game series. So, I mean, it's hard to really talk about this because The Sims is this, what it appears, it's in the name. It is a human simulator of life, and you do everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything that you would do in normal life, and beyond. You know, anything that well, as far as I know. So, making this into a movie about The Sims seems interesting in what is going to be the take. I mean, with Barbie, it became immediately apparent Barbie was not this schlocky, stupid film about a doll.
Exactly, which is what I think many people would have expected.
Yeah, if you went into watching the Barbie movie without anybody tainting this for you, and you thought that it was like pure entertainment and fun, I think you might have not taken away what they wanted you to take away from this. Yeah, it's definitely couched in somebody realizing their mortality and the crisis involved with existing. Um, and it was a fascinating watch. I can't say that, um, it's one of those kind of goofy movies you turn your brain off to watch. So, I mean, it was a fun watch, but it still had some serious undertones. So some might balk at the idea of a Sims movie. After all, like Barbie and so many other films that have come out in recent years, the Sims adaptation could be seen as just an excuse to capitalize on a well-known brand. However, it's hard to deny the movie's potential. The Sims games, by their nature, have no plot, as the narrative is entirely dictated by the players and is free of the kinds of restrictions that come with most other video games. The key difference is what makes the proposal of a Sims movie an intriguing and unique one. So
I'm glad it pointed that out because I was like, well, what is the movie going to be about? But I guess that's the point. It could go in nearly any direction.
yep. So yeah, again, if you've never watched Barbie, go watch Barbie. It really isn't what some people think it is without seeing it. You really do have to watch it.
Well, and I think what people think it is are actually directly opposite of what it is in many respects. So I will say it was refreshing. It was not what was anticipated.
Yeah. It says if it can employ a similarly zany tone while making intelligent points about free will and choosing one's own destiny, it stands every chance of being a hit. Yeah. And really, Barbie came out swinging. After the first introduction of everything just being cool, it changes tone when she meets one of the other dolls that everybody is afraid of because of their personality and idiosyncrasies. And then from there you're like, what? And it pops back and forth between that zany attitude. So maybe they'll make this work. And I think if anybody has the right perspective about how to frame it, it's going to be Margot Robbie and the director from Barbie. I just forgot their name. Doggone it.
Oh, it's Greta Gerwig.
Gerwig. Yeah. There you go. Thanks. Yeah. It'll be interesting. Okay. I got to play catch up. So let's keep going through the articles. The next article is over in Continuity Report as well. Let me throw this into... Wait. I actually have to back up one. I didn't throw this into the chat. Sorry about that, folks. There you go. Doink. And then this is the time loop movies that we're going to talk about now.
TV shows.
TV shows. Yeah, you're right. That certain episodes about time loops. So 10 best time loop episodes in TV shows, and they rank them. Again, it's over at Screen Rant. Many TV shows have explored the time loop concept, often dedicating standalone episodes to the narrative device popularized by the film Groundhog Day. Yeah, I'd say Groundhog Day was probably the preeminent time loop kind of a...
I think so. It's very well known. It certainly may not be the first to do it, but I think it's the first that popularized it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people refer to it as a Jacob's Ladder because it's like a dream sequence.
Okay.
Says, however, there are 10 episodes that have mastered this storytelling technique, showcasing a range of creativity and execution. It's over at Screen Rant. Kyla Turner is the author. The deck statement says numerous TV shows have explored the time loop concept, but there are some episodes that excel in mastering the narrative. So let's run through this real quick. They always have minutia that you'll have to go over and read. Cause and Effect, Star Trek, The Next Generation. I'm curious what they say about this. The episode explores the psychological impact of being trapped in a seemingly inescapable cycle. And so they relive the same day, and you try and make changes, but it may not do anything, or it may cause something bad to happen. The resolution involving Data's ingenious message to his future self, showcasing the show's ability to blend scientific concepts with compelling storytelling. Do you remember, what was it called? Payday? I think it's called Payday. Where
is it Paycheck?
Paycheck, thank you. That's basically what went down.
Yes.
So Stargate SG-1, Window of Opportunity. This is, again, it's a TV series, not the movie Stargate. And I actually watched some of this. It has 10 seasons, but it seemed to have run off the path and expanded. The world building got a little out of hand for me. So I never really watched a lot of this, but it's built off of the idea that Stargate had that network and it remained active. And they added functionality to it over the years to facilitate opening these gates to other worlds. So the episode expertly balances the desperation felt by Colonel O'Neill and Teal'c's, I guess, recurring 10-hour cycle. The characters' decision to dedicate months to learning an alien language showcases their determination. It's literally a Groundhog Day. Because if you're not familiar with the original story of Groundhog Day, the protagonist in Groundhog Day actually spent 10,000 years. That is what supposedly was written about what this movie ended up being. Because they learned how to play the piano, they learned everybody, learned about
French
everybody,
poetry,
everything. It's pretty amazing. Learned the town and everything, but the fundamental thing in Groundhog Day was that he learned to be a human eventually, to be a compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic human being. You'll have to go and watch it, and if you've never thought of it in that take, then watch it now from that framework, and I think you'll take away something more from that movie. Again, Groundhog Day is a silly movie, but sometimes they do have deeper meaning. Charmed, Deja Vu all over again. This was actually a fun show. I really liked watching Charmed. It's too bad that things got a little wonky in the series, but it says the psychological toll of this ordeal is palpable. The episode pushes the boundaries of the trope by subjecting Halliwell sisters to the ultimate horror, reliving their own deaths repeatedly in the hands of a demon called Tempest. As the characters grapple with the seemingly inescapability of their fate. Yeah, I can imagine. Profound personal loss suffered by Prue, whose childhood sweetheart, Detective Andy Trudeau, sacrifices himself to secure the sisters' victory. Yeah, they had it was quite intriguing, this series, because at one point it starts shifting and getting really weird. But it was a fun show to watch, and they always had some personal matter that they had to solve during the episode. The Magicians, I never watched it, unfortunately, I suppose. I couldn't get into it. It says, oops, I did it again. And I think
I'm not even familiar with that show at all.
Yeah. I think it started out somewhere else and then ended up on Netflix. But I don't think it started there. I think it was like a CW kind of thing. Anyway, from The Magician Season 5, takes the time loop trope and adds apocalyptic stakes, whimsical magic, sheer originality. The episode thrust Elliot and Margot into a seemingly endless cycle of global destruction. Showcases the series' ability to weave magical complex systems into its narrative fabric. I don't think weaving complex magical systems into a fantasy sci-fi show, it's purely fantasy, I shouldn't say sci-fi. I don't think it's hard. You can make magic do anything and still maintain continuity.
It looks like it was actually from the channel Sci-Fi.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's available now on Netflix.
Yeah, I knew that it was from somewhere else, and now it's on Netflix. Yeah, but I didn't think it was from Sci-Fi. Then there's 12 Monkeys, the series. This is Lullaby Season 2, Episode 8. And here they say in the article, exemplifies 12 Monkeys' mastery of long-form storytelling. Casting Cole's entrapment in a seemingly inescapable cycle delves deep into the philosophical implications of altering the past, presenting a moral quandary that tests their resolve. This is less time travel or time loop and more butterfly effect kind of resolution.
Right, I agree. Like some of the other ones listed here sound very much like a time loop, but this one is not. I haven't seen this as a series, but it doesn't sound
Right.
that way.
Yeah. And it would be, I don't know, be hard to watch, I suppose. But again, it's the TV series, and they don't necessarily stick to the underpinnings of the movie. Time's active resistance to their attempts to prevent the invention of time travel adds a layer of existential dread, underscoring the series' commitment to exploring intricacies of temporal manipulation.
I mean, maybe there's both going on. Maybe they're looping and trying the same thing over and over again, but it's not coming across in the description here.
Gotcha. Number 5 is Cloak and Dagger. Let's see. You know what? Let's jump. I think some of these are Supernatural. I knew was going to be in there. It had to have been. Russian Doll is interesting. If you've never seen Russian Doll, yeah. So she gets hit by a car and like dies. And so it's the intricate storytelling and strong character development earn it high ranking. Each loop, she was a software engineer stuck in a time loop on her 36th birthday. Each loop offers Nadia a chance to make different choices, leading her to unravel the mystery surrounding her predicament. This series focuses on existential themes, keeping viewers engaged throughout. It was harsh for me to watch a lot of that show, only because I couldn't really attach to it. But it was an interesting concept. So if you're interested in watching something like that, go and check it out. But I didn't like the character all that much. It had 2 seasons and then flamed out. And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I knew that it was going to be involved in this. So it says, As I Have Always Be, Season 7, Episode 9, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's see, they say here, the time loop trope in this season, Episode 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is masterfully executed, blending suspense, romance, and sacrifice seamlessly. Each repetition in the time loop adds more nuance to the narrative, revealing new facets of the characters' personalities and relationships. And then there's a
I mean, it does
mystery.
sound like an interesting episode.
Yeah, the murder mystery side of it seems compelling. So, let's see. And that's it. So, let's go on to the next article. I don't have transitions today. If you're in chat and you have a question or a comment and wondering why I'm just blipping to the next article, I don't have transitions active. At least not yet. I'm working on them still. Okay. So all the catchiest, most earwormy theme songs from genre movies. The eternal question, who you going to call, has come back around thanks to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Ray Parker Jr.'s 1984 anthem has us thinking about the pop songs so prominently featured in some of our favorite sci-fi animated and superhero movies, and they've all just well known as the movies they're from. So I wonder what
I predict Footloose has to be on there.
Really?
I don't really know. I'm just trying to think of something that's well known, but...
So for a lot of this stuff, Gizmodo has these slideshows, and they're kind of frustrating for me. I don't like the way they flow. But Sabina Graves is the author of this over at Gizmodo.com. So we're going to click this to start the slideshow, and then we'll click that to look at all of them. Oh my gosh, they're not kidding. Look at this. How many are... There's 37 of them listed?
Okay, so I picked incorrectly, it looks like, but... I was just trying to think of one that's like really associated with the movie, but maybe that's not really the point of this.
It's the catchiest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's so. Ghostbusters, Rainbow Connection from Kermit the Frog, the Muppet Movie, The Never Ending Story, um, Killer Clowns, which I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, never mind. It's the like Helter Skelter kind of thing. Magic Dance from David Bowie. That's not earwormy. The Power of Love, Huey Lewis in the News from Back to the Future. Pretty much anything from Back to the Future. Back in Time. Ninja Rap. No, that's earwormy. Cry Little Sister from The Lost Boys. I Still Believe from The Lost Boys. Weird Science from Oingo Boingo.
Yes,
Weird
that one.
Science. Yes, for sure. We'll go back up to the very top of this. Deo from Beetlejuice, of course. Jump in the Line, that's from Beetlejuice as well. That's actually coming back because of Beetlejuice coming back, so I'm not surprised that it's on the list. Bat Dance from Batman, I don't think that's earwormy. Space Jam, I don't think that's earwormy. Wild Wild West, Will Smith, I think that can be.
I wouldn't think of it as an earworm, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, earworms are things that you can't get out of your head once you hear them.
Right. It's just because it's catchy or whatever doesn't necessarily mean it's an earworm.
Yeah. I don't want to miss a thing from Armageddon. No. All of these I can pull out of my head easy. Just move on to something else. Hip to Be Square. Maybe I've got this all wrong. Do I have this wrong? I mean, if there's somebody in chat that thinks that we've got it wrong, let us know. Hero from Spider-Man, Mad World from Donnie Darko.
I mean, I think if you heard these songs, you would think of the movie, but I don't think you would have a problem getting the songs out of your head.
Yeah, nobody is having a hard time pulling What I Was Made For from Barbie out of their head, or I'm Just Ken, which is so complex that you're like, no, I'm not. That's not stuck in my head. Weird Science, that gets stuck in your head.
Yes.
But it's only that phrase.
Ghostbusters, I think. Well, right. It's not the whole song. It's just this one snippet.
Yeah. Weird Science. That's it. You don't know. Nobody knows the rest of the lyrics for that song. I don't know. I think that they're catchy. Decode from Twilight. Nobody's having a hard time. I'm sorry. I mean, I love this for the nostalgia and for, just the nostalgia aspect of it. But no, nobody is having a hard time pulling any of this out of their head.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But if they just said catchiest, then okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's keep going though. The next article is over in Temporology. Hey, guess what? Look, hey, there's a whole show waiting in the wings to be about time and time travel. The science and science fiction of time and time travel. That's the catchphrase for Temporology. It's a real thing. It's quite fascinating. Russian researchers actually created the domain Temporology. There's another science area of research of study around time, but Temporology is actually more encompassing. Anyway, the trailer for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice confirms that this is really a movie that will be happening. So it's Beetlejuice 2. Many of the
don't
people
say it a third time.
I've said it like 6 times. So 2 of them are going to show up. Damn it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay, so the article's over at reactormag.com. It's by Molly Templeton. I'll accept all cookies. And yeah, there's Beetlejuice. So they say, Michael Keaton doesn't look as young as the original Beetlejuice. So he's aged in real life and aged in the movie. But others, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Michael Keaton, those 3 are on it apparently. So they're reaching back. Lydia Dietz is grown up. The Dietzes themselves are not returning. But says here, with a kid of her own, and since history and movie series love to repeat themselves, you know what's coming, right? So the first teaser, however, offers very little besides telling us that Lydia has not changed her style much after all these years, and that the people who decide what should go in a movie trailer really wanted to subject us to this song again. So you hear the song.
Well, that was one of the best scenes of the first Beetlejuice.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, Beetlejuice is actually a really fun watch, and it opened up the door literally to a world building and discussing things like the afterlife. Even if it's fantastical, it was still, mortality is a thing that even a funny show can discuss in a responsible way. Wednesday's Jenna Ortega plays Astrid, and Wednesday's Alfred Go. And Miles Miller wrote the Beetlejuice screenplay, I guess with others. And I guess rounding out the cast are The Leftovers, Justin Theroux. The Matrix's Monica Bellucci. Strange Genius, Willem Dafoe. Why is that not... Okay. And Arthur Conti. The creative team is full of Burton vets, including some costume designer Colleen Atwood, Sweeney Todd, Sleepy Hollow, and others. There's so many. So that's pretty much all this is, but go and check out this trailer. It's kind of a blast. This is a different trailer than I think I saw.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. I think I might have seen.
And it looks like
else.
It's coming out in September.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Beetlejuice is in theater September 6th. So you've got a little bit of time to plan and get your outfit ready if you want to show up and be Beetlejuice in the theater.
I mean, I guess it's well timed because of Halloween.
Yep, right on the cusp. So, yeah. Pretty neat. All right, let's keep going. This next article is about Bosch Legacy Season 3, which I didn't even realize was on Season 3 already. It seemed like Season 2 just... I don't know. For me, it showed up and disappeared, and it was hardly memorable. Renewal, cast, story, and everything we know. With the second season coming to a close, viewers are already looking for Bosch Legacy Season 3 news. And so let's go over to Screen Rant and we'll find out about it. Dalton Norman is the author of this, again, over at screenrant.com. Let's see. Following Harry Bosch's successful second spinoff.
Season.
Why does that spinoff season? Oh, it's because I didn't read the whole damn sentence. Anyway. So Bosch Legacy finds Harry Bosch leaving behind his life in LAPD to work as a private detective. That is actually from the first season. It's declared. So actually, at the end of Bosch, he's done.
Correct.
So spoiler, but Legacy picks up where Bosch left off, and his daughter joins the LAPD. And I guess the hilarity ensues. Is this really going to be on Freevee?
That's where it's been.
Oh, really? But we've been watching it on Freevee?
Yes, I think it airs through Prime, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, it's been on Freevee since the get-go.
Okay. I know there's something about Freevee coming. Okay. Anyway, while some wondered why it was necessary to create a spin-off show that followed the same main character as the original Bosch, viewers have gone along with the Bosch Legacy, and it will surely help continue the planned Bosch universe for Amazon. The future of the franchise goes beyond Bosch Legacy Season 3, as there are 2 more announced spin-offs. Oh, right. Jamie Hector's Jerry Edgar is working for the FBI, and the yet as uncast detective Renee Ballard running LAPD's cold case unit. I thought they were going to do one about the attorney.
Honey Chandler?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that would be a good spinoff because she could certainly carry
Oh
the
yeah.
show as the main character.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, she's great. And it could be focusing on the law side of it,
Mm-hmm.
even crossing into the Bosch
Right, they could still
omniverse,
cross over if they needed to, like with
because
some
they're,
of the characters from Bosch Legacy or
yep, yep, for sure. Interesting. So apparently it's going to premiere. Oh no, Bosch Legacy Season 2 premiered on Prime Video and Freevee. Okay, that's why it's Prime Video and Freevee on October 20th, 2023 for a 10 episode season. Legacy Season 3 will follow a similar format. However, no release date has been announced. So I get really hyped up for these articles to disclose when something's actually going to show up, and they don't.
and then they don't.
That's okay. I guess they would have put in here the launch date,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently not. Okay, let's move on to the next article, and that one's over in Continuity Report as well. MrBeast strikes Amazon deal for biggest competition series in TV history. Yeah, this one is kind of shocking because for all I had no idea that this was even being discussed, but I'm not really following MrBeast anywhere. The deal, worth possibly $100 million, will be the latest attempt by an internet creator to move to more traditional forms of entertainment, as if they need to. Taylor Lorenz over at the Washington Post put the article together.
Is MrBeast doing this for MrBeast, or is MrBeast doing this for traditional TV?
Yeah, pretty much, right? Drawing what amounts to YouTube consumers over to conventional consumption.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a whole generation of people.
Yeah, who's grown up entirely on YouTube and the internet is now going to be watching. It's an Amazon deal, so it's kind of more meta than it is traditional because Amazon is not broadcasting.
Yeah, it's not like it's like NBC or something.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird take. Now that I
Yeah, but
think
it's
about
like
it.
getting them out of YouTube.
Yeah, which that's not going to happen either. So the show called Beast Games would be the first foray into traditional entertainment by MrBeast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson. All right. Anyway, it's supposed to be a whole bunch of contests with 1,000 contestants competing for a $5 million cash prize, the largest single prize that's ever been offered on television or streaming. Donaldson will host and executive produce the show, which will be available in 240 countries and territories. So there's going to be 1,000 contestants. The way that I think of it is just like what they describe it as: Squid Game as a reality TV style competition. Donaldson also has a reputation for combining his internet shows with a charitable aspect, such as rescuing 1,000 abandoned dogs or building 100 wells in Africa. It says until now, however, his entertainment has not extended beyond the internet. And it still isn't, because it's being funded by basically a meta entertainment service. So Amazon, and it's going to be broadcast on Prime, not on conventional TV, right? It doesn't, I don't get this, but
Right.
he's done more. Like he paid for the treatment to return vision to, I don't know how many people, like 100 people or something like that. I can't remember what it was. He does such
he does
charity.
a lot of charitable efforts. Yeah.
He ordered a pizza, and when the person showed up, he gave them the house that they delivered the pizza to.
Yes.
I mean, it's just amazing. And that
right
there,
it's like very over the top and life changing for people.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the kind of charity that I dig. And it shows that a person can enrich themselves and the world around them, and also provide solutions to people. Because he has a whole ecosystem of people around him. It may not be thousands of people like, massive organizations are. But also I think that they're doing great good with the wealth that they're generating for themselves and their ecosystem. And I think we need more of that. Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need it
Like
at
using your
all.
wealth and influence for good.
Yep. Yep.
Does he do silly stunts and other things? Yes. But if that's the output of this, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I dig what he's doing. So Donaldson recently told Time that his channel earns 600 million to 700 million per year, much of which gets funneled back into his videos. Each video does a couple million in ad revenue, a couple million in brand deals. He said, I've reinvested everything to the point of, you could claim, stupidity, just believing that we would succeed, and it's worked out. And it's because
I
people buy
did
into it.
see, and he
But
does pay a lot to produce some of his videos. Like some of his are very costly endeavors, but I mean, the amount of revenue he's bringing in is really outrageous, particularly since he hasn't been doing this for a lengthy period of time. I think maybe 10 years or so.
yeah, I think it's somewhere around that 12 or something like that. But he pivoted from doing one thing, and then changed his kind of demeanor, I suppose, or what the content fundamentally was, and people gravitated to that, like just like a super powerful magnet. And he has great charisma. People really like his energy. So, and I don't think anybody's ever said anything bad about him. You know, it's really interesting. But again, I don't really look hard for,
I don't think so. Like, I think people are like, well, you only donated something to so many people. I think we've seen some things like that. Like, well, yes, you could keep donating to more people, but how about celebrate what they are doing?
Right. Okay, so let's go on to the next article. Well, congratulations, MrBeast. The last article for today in the continuity report is 20 movies to watch if you love the Kingsman series. And I do. It's kind of my guilty pleasure. It's fun to watch Kingsman. It I don't know how to describe Kingsman. It's kind of like a Bond show.
It's like comedy spy genre or something, right?
Yeah, with a little bathroom humor involved.
Yeah, it's like silly comedy.
Yeah.
Plus spy genre.
So movies like Kingsman from 2014 and other entries into the franchise offer action and spy genre fans something a little wilder and unexpected. A lot of the action mixed expertly with humor, as well as strong performances from the cast. It's easy to see why Kingsman: The Secret Service was spun into one of the most well-known action movie franchises of recent years. However, as unique as Kingsman can be, plenty of other movies have also done interesting things. So let's take a look at the 20 that they say here over at Screen Rant fall into this category, from James Bond and Harry Palmer to Ethan Hunt and Jason Bourne. If you're a fan of the Kingsman series, you'll love these movies too. Jack Anderson is the author over at Screen Rant. You know what? There's stuff that they talk about Argyle, which apparently is getting kind of panned.
But I would say that's in the same general genre.
Yeah, I would have to assume that. I haven't actually watched Argyle, but everything that we've read, everything that we've seen points to it being akin to the Kingsman, except that it's a different kind of spy. Anyway, it explores similar territory of fun spy movies, which I love the idea of this. I haven't seen the Suicide Squad in its entirety. I walked away from it because I didn't like even how it started out. But it says, like, Kingsman Gunn loves to combine irreverent humor with vicious violence, combining it to make a hilarious and wild ride filled with colorful characters. That's the Suicide Squad. Basically, a group of superheroes are put together, and let's just say that it doesn't turn out well right from the beginning, but it is what it is. John Wick. I don't think that there's anything humorous in John Wick.
No, I think there's a little bit of dry humor, maybe, but not a lot of it.
Am I missing the premise of this list?
I thought this was going to be like spy comedies, kind of.
Because the Kingsman is not hardcore serious from end to end. It has
No.
humor
So
and
maybe it's
silliness,
just
and
stuff that's like spy movies.
I guess yeah,
But
if you like spy movies, you're gonna like these. Bullet Train, packing a stellar cast: Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry. Let's see, bumps into multiple dangerous criminals aboard a high-speed Shinkansen trip, one of those bullet trains from Tokyo to Kyoto. Adaptation of Kotaro Asaka's novel Maria Beetle. So, might be fun. Brad Pitt leads the comedic action adventure. I've seen some of the trailers. I haven't watched Bullet Train. We'll have to watch Bullet Train. And just yeah, and they've got trailers I think for all of these articles. Smokin' Aces, star-studded action movie about a collision of deadly characters. The infamous church shootout in the first Kingsman movie is a testament to how action movies can have over-the-top and ridiculous violence. If Kill Bill is in here, I'm just going to have to leave. Also, shocking audience with its brutality. Smokin' Aces is one of the action movies that pulls it off incredibly well. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Let's see. Oh, I gotta go. Literally the next one.
The next one.
I called it. Okay, I'll relent. I won't move on. But anyway, Kill Bill, Mission Impossible Fallout. Yeah, if you want...
That one's getting a lot of attention because we had that in another list, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of the Mission Impossible
True.
Movies with Tom Cruise are great. It's a fun watch. Not because of Tom Cruise, by the way. X-Men First Class. That actually is pretty neat. It's the mutant origin action movie. You really have to watch it, but
I wouldn't have connected this at all, but
it's not really about spies, though. I mean, it actually starts out like that because X-Men show up.
Because it's like a prequel kind of thing.
Yeah. And somebody gets blamed for bringing spies. Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Dead on with Kingsman. Sure. Falls
Correct.
right in line. Finally got one. The Ipcris File, which I've never seen. 1965, an early spy classic. Might have to put that on the list. Atomic Blonde. You'll like it, but it's not.
It's spy and it's violent, but it's not funny.
Spy from 2015.
That's spot on.
Melissa McCarthy. Yeah. Because of Melissa McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
American Ultra. I don't see that as being the funny. It's a stoner spy comedy, but I guess I'll have to pay more attention to it. A stoner who discovers he's actually a skilled secret agent for the CIA. American Ultra received mixed reviews upon release and only made a few $1 million at the box office. We'll keep going through this. Casino Royale. That is a spy movie. Olympus Has Fallen. Yeah, I mean, I understand what it is, but it is a spy movie. Sherlock Holmes, that's just a fun watch, mainly because of Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. The Losers, never saw it. It's from 2010. The Losers is a 2010 action comedy starring Idris Elba, Zoe Saldana, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Chris Evans. I mean, it's star-studded, but the film centers on a betrayed special forces group who goes against orders to kill a drug lord while rescuing a group of children. Comic series.
I mean,
adaptation.
It doesn't
of a
really sound like that,
series.
but then it says action comedy, so maybe.
All right, we'll have to watch that. Now You See Me. The Bourne Identity. That's just hardcore movie spy. I mean, Manchurian Candidate kind of thing. The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Very good, but again, not a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kick-Ass, which is, I just don't, it's weird. Tries to live join a vigilante team, Justice Forever. Meanwhile, Mindy McCready tries to join a normal life, even as Chris D'Amico takes on a supervillain persona and forms his own team with the intention of killing Kick-Ass. They're basically superheroes, but
okay.
But it's I don't know. a lot of people like Kick-Ass, but it says like Kingsman, Kick-Ass is another comic book movie that distances itself from others in the genre, and fans of Vaughn are likely to find a lot of similarities in its tone, humor, and violence, thanks to no small part the original comics shared writer Mark Miller. But I don't see Kick-Ass and Kingsman in the same, alignment.
Right.
But all right. Pretty neat. You got a whole 20 more movies to go and watch if you haven't watched any of these. You'll like all of them. Plus, it's a series. Look at all of that. Kingsman: The Secret Service I've watched. Kingsman: The Golden Circle I've watched. The Kingsman I've watched. But this Kingsman: The Blue Blood and The Kingsman: The Traitor King to be determined. Dun dun dun. Yeah.
Well, that's good. More coming out. Yeah.
Okay, well, everybody, that's it. We're going to get into the party bus and drive down Main Street at a bullet train speed so that we can just smash that button right there that says the continuity report, and it'll refresh and say, hey, look, we got a bunch of this stuff or that stuff or whatever this stuff, unless it times out, which would be kind of a bummer. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff to watch, har. Just don't read the titles right now while I say that, because I said it because of the titles of some of these. Anyway, I'm Airwatt. Up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI. They're going to say bye, but we'll be back because we've got another show right after this one.
Good evening, hometown citizens. Come back shortly.
Yeah, 10 minutes. We'll be back at 9 o'clock to do Technology Today. We'll get that one done. And then after that, we have Four Wheel Tech, which is another tech show, but it focuses on vehicles. And we'll introduce you to a bunch of news and then let you go about your night. See you then. 10 minutes. Bye-bye. Unless I walk away and start watching a movie.